Welcome back to the Safe Squad Show. I'm your host, Dylan Sanders of Roundtable Sports, and don't worry, we're not going to end early this time because we're here on a Wednesday having some fun.
I'm Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and what Dylan means to say is that I won't accidentally end the stream early.
John Hendricks, New Orleans.football, and I believe Dylan knows who Will Johnson is now.
This is former Saints wide receiver Lance Moore, and I really, really hope that Brock Purdy is going to be okay next week.
It's the Saints Squad. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saints Squad Show, starting now.
Howdy, Who Dat Nation, and welcome back to the Saints Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every Sunday and Wednesday. We have a unique group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. We're coming out to you live on a Wednesday. This is going to be our new afternoon placement, our new afternoon timing, just because I feel like that's going to work. And it's going to be our new, getting ready for the week, getting ready for the game show. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Guys, let's jump into, before we get into what's going to happen next week, we still can have some things to learn from the first one and what needs to change this week, or at least in this game, the number one thing that needs to be different against the 49ers. And let's start off with Lance.
So I thought that I was going to go later in the segment, but I actually just jotted down 5 things. That's what I was doing. I just jotted down 5 things.
What's the 5 things?
Just in case I was last, and because I figure we all kind of have the similar mindset as far as what has to change. The number one thing to me that stands out, even more than a lot of the other things, is the penalties.
Ding, number one answer.
Let me just cross that off my list real quick.
We're just going to say that's the number one answer after we surveyed 100 people. Yeah. That is the number one answer.
13 penalties in an NFL game is insane. Now, there's the one-off where you get a team that's penalized 15 or 16 times, which is super duper rare. But a good team is never going to be penalized 13 times. Bad teams are rarely penalized 13 times. And it's almost impossible to win a football game with that many penalties. I think back to Sean Payton team meetings many, many years ago, and many times talking about how important the lack of penalties on a team is. And he kind of had it to like a measurable type of thing. And he would say close to 100 yards. So they had 89, which they're lucky that with that many penalties, they only had 89 yards penalized. If you have anywhere close to 100 yards, that basically equates to 7 points. Well, what was the difference in the football game? 7 points. And if you look at that, and I'm not saying that the team can't have any penalties at all, right? It's an imperfect game played by imperfect individuals. There are mistakes that are made, and we get that. Like, no coach has ever gone out and said, we can't win this game if we have one single penalty, right? Like, everybody knows that none of the guys are going to be able to, or the whole team is not going to be able to go out there and be unpenalized, right? So I'm not saying they need to be perfect, but you cannot have 13 penalties. I mean, it's just, right. I don't think it needs to be more deep than that, especially in a game that was so winnable. The defense held up their end of the bargain for most of the game. And the offense, who had an opportunity at the end, just think of how differently this game could have looked if that 13 penalties was 7 or even 8. If they had 5 less penalties, you think about it, drives are continued. You don't know what's going to happen at the end of those. Maybe drives for Arizona are not continued. So you're getting the ball back for your offense. It just, to me, just a team that shoots itself in the foot is going to be a team that's going to struggle to pull out close football games. And if we are going to be that team regularly, then we aren't going to be winning too many football games. I'm sorry to say that, but I think that's the number one most important thing that needs to change in order for this team to start looking the way that we think that they could potentially look. I'm not even going to say to start 100%. Winning games, right? Like I just feel like there's a lot of other things that have to go well as well, but you got to nip that in the bud sooner rather than later.
Kellen Moore talked about building
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was saying, Kellen Moore talking about building from the inside out in terms of like the draft and stuff. I think that kind of plays into this. You kind of have to focus on the details, focus on the small things, get a foundation set before you can be a Super Bowl winning team. And I feel like penalties and preparation and the specific kind of penalties we saw a bunch last week are signs that there needs to be a lot of work done.
Yeah. There's a couple of things here. I think a lot of those, I think it was like 7 of those were also pre-snap penalties over on the offensive side. And the Saints played the most amount, or like the highest amount of tempo percentage of any team in the NFL last week. It was like 31.7%. And in a team behind them, the Buffalo Bills was like 16%. And then even if you take out like the 2-minute drive, the Saints were still well ahead. Like if you take out the last 2 minutes of each quarter of all the games, they were still well ahead in terms of tempo. So I think that's a big part of that. I think the other thing too is a funny moment I thought was like, okay, Saints had 13 penalties, right? When's the last time that they had 13 penalties in a game? You got to go back to, it's either week 6 or week 5 of the 2017 season up against the Detroit Lions. And the Saints won that game, but you'll remember it took 52 points in several defense. I think it was like multiple defensive touchdowns in that game in order to win that game. So yeah, you definitely do not want to be in that situation. The Saints had officials at practice on a Wednesday. They will again on Thursday. This is a big thing that they got to get taken care of.
And what I was going to say, not to go back, but last year in their season opener, they had 10 penalties for 95 yards, and they beat the Panthers, which they were the Panthers. They suck.
Good point.
But I bring that up because the next week in Dallas, even though we were riding the high of those fictitious 2 weeks, they did cut the penalties down in half, and they had a much better showing in Dallas. So to everybody's point, yes, we want to see that cut, like not in half, like a quarter of that. And a lot of it, guys like Eric McCoy, they've taken ownership and says, that's on me. They got to play better discipline. The pre-snap is all about discipline, right? And so I think that's obviously the biggest thing, that you cannot shoot yourself in the foot. And this team just finds a way every single week for the past several years. It seems like ever since Sean has left, that they have found a way to shoot themselves in the foot every single time. And I think that's just not good football. And you got to be disciplined. You got to do all this stuff. And I get it. You got some young players. You got a lot of nerves and all that stuff. But that was a winnable game that they let slip through. And of course, Groupie missed the field goal. So then you could say they really could have won that game if Groupie had it, because they were in a position to win if Groupie makes the field goal. So it's spot on. Penalties, top answer, number one answer, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Because I want to jump to one. I'll jump to what I had because I think it kind of plays in line into a lot of Kellen Moore things. I want to see them be a little bit more aggressive in their play calling this week. I know it's tougher against the San Francisco 49ers defense that's, vaunted. Everyone knows the reputation they carry. But now all of a sudden, you look at guys like George Kittle are out, Brock Purdy's out. This is a game that's looking a lot more winnable. So take the bull by the horns and go after it on offense. I feel like last week, I said it during a recap show, I'll say it again. It felt a lot like they were playing not to lose while actively losing. I don't think they can afford to do that again this week. And if they want to come away with a win, they have to be aggressive in their play calling, decision making. And, I didn't know it'd be aggressive to do this, but maybe call timeouts.
Yes.
I think maybe. I think the not calling timeouts thing was a pretty good I assume you're talking about the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Pretty good example of like, hey, everybody's kind of new at this right now, number one. And then number two, just like a trust in what you have on offense, right? I don't want to go out there and give Arizona an opportunity to call 3 timeouts and go 3 and out, and then they get the ball back again and all those other things. Like, I think that was one of those big time conservative things. Yeah, I'd like to see some more aggression from the Saints this week for sure.
Yeah, but you can't play with scared money, man.
That's what I'm saying. I said that on my show. Scared money don't make money.
He's an offensive head coach. Who doesn't want to give their offense another opportunity to score? Like I could see if it was DA and DA's like, you know what? Our defense is playing all right. I don't want to put my young quarterback out there and subject him to this. And then, they get a 3 and out. We got to go back on the field for our defense. Like I could see that as a defensive guy, but not the offensive head coach who
Completely
is known
agree.
for offenses scoring a bunch of points. Like that to me, I'll give him a little bit of grace because it was his first regular season outing. I'm sure it was a lot more high stress on that sideline and in his head or in his headset than it was in all of the preseason games. But I mean, he can't be a repeat offender on that. Like he's got to get it together and realize like we need all the chances we can get. And if we're turning them down, then that's potentially less opportunity that we're going to have to score points. And we're playing better teams moving forward. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like the timeout thing can't be a mistake that he makes again.
Yeah. It's got to be, I want to use these timeouts because I know what we can do, not I want to use these timeouts because I'm afraid of what might happen. I don't want to use these timeouts because I'm afraid of what might happen.
Yeah, DA would have used all those timeouts. And here's the other thing is the good news is we have a starting point. We understand now, here's where this team's at. This is where everything's at. Now we can see where they go week to week here. Is this what Kellen Moore's in that group? Can they improve in the discipline aspect? Can Kellen Moore be better as a game manager? Can they take a little bit more risk? I mean, I think that's the big thing here is that you still got a lot of games to go. We know that, but now you have a starting point, and it just shows you where this is at. And now we'll see where they go from here and week to week, because that's where we really need to see is improvement in some of the fundamentals and some of the other things that hopefully we get to see against the 49ers.
Ross, what do you want to see done differently?
Yeah, I'm going to go with better second half efficiency with the run game. I think that was a big thing. You look at the first half in this game, the Saints running backs averaged over 6 yards per carry. Offensive line did a great job blocking, setting things up, really good stuff. You had Taliesin Fuanga in the lineup at that point. You get into the second half, Saints running backs averaged 1.36 yards per carry on the ground. Yikes. That's not going to cut it when you're trying to keep things, keep pressure off your young quarterback. There's no way that the Saints went into, and Lance, you're going to laugh when I say this because for you, this is going to be like, yeah, duh, Ross. But there's no way that the Saints went into this game going, you know what? We really want Spencer Rattler to throw the football 46 times. You know what I mean? Like there's of course they didn't go in with that being a part of their game plan. But a big reason why they had to do that was because of a lack of efficiency in the run game in the second half. I wonder how much of that, Look, I get Taliesin Fuanga gave up 4 pressures during the game, and he caught a lot of heat for that from folks, but he was big in the run game during that first half. That's what happens when you lose a guy like that going in the second half. So Awesome Richards, if he ends up being the starter this week at right tackle, if Fuanga can't go, he's going to have to make some big strides and show some big strides in terms of run protection and getting involved in the run game there. So that would be a big thing for me. Second half rushing efficiency, just to make sure you have that entire playbook available to you in the second half.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go, Ross, is just the fact that if run the ball more. I mean, 46 passes for fast attempts for Spencer Rattler, 22 runs, and every single runner, including Rattler, was over 4 yards to carry. So, I mean, it can work. I like some of the play designs. I liked what I saw from Kendra Miller. It's weird that he only got less than 15 snaps. They put Devin Neal in for a series. It's interesting too. And I think we talked about this, Ross, but just the fact that they didn't really use a lot of different personnel. Like Jawan Johnson played 99% of the snaps on offense. And so I thought that was really interesting because what we've seen in the past is a lot of substitution, a lot of this and that. And again, maybe it's just because it's the first game. You don't want to throw everything out there. I don't know, but they didn't really substitute a lot. It was a lot of the same personnel with Cooks, Shaheed, Olave, Johnson, and AK. That was their base 5 in terms of skill. So I'd like to see some of that change a little bit, but the ground game, they can make that work. And especially clock control, all these things, it helps a lot. But again, it goes back to penalties. You can't shoot yourself in the foot because you're going to have to pass on 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 15 and all this other stuff. So
that 11 personnel group of skill position players you just listed off, John, 76% or more, so between 76% and 99% in terms of offensive snap percentage last week. The other guys that came in, Jack Stoll, Devon Vele, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Maliki Mataval, 24% to 1% because Mataval literally saw a single snap. So absolutely, it was like watching the Rams almost, right? Like the old Rams, like the old McVay. It was like, this is the 11 personnel. We're playing condensed sets, 11 personnel, and these are the 11 players that you're going to see out on the field every single game, every single snap. And so, it was very interesting. We're used to seeing the hockey team substitutes, right?
Yeah,
6 run off, 6 run on, all that stuff. Like, yeah.
John,
I was going to say the personnel versatility is definitely something that can help this offense out. The defense being able to stay with the same people on the field and not have to think on another level as far as who's in the game, what could they possibly do with these people in the game, as opposed to the last grouping of people in the game. To me, it doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't be doing that more, especially with the group of skill players that we have. Maybe the tight end situation is a little bit funky. Well, it is a little bit funky, but like the receivers and the running backs, I mean, I think there's enough bodies there to be able to move guys in and out. And if for no other reason than to keep them fresh, then why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
Yeah. John, is there anything, I know we talked a lot about stuff that you were going to talk about. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out quick before we move on?
Yeah, I think there's just two real quick things. It'd be the eliminating the big plays, 3 plays of 20 yards or more. That was a big thing. Obviously, the big run, Benson, that was a big one, and a couple of the McBride and stuff. And the other thing would be starting way stronger and better on defense. Like they had the first that they were 3 and out, but then they gave up 4 straight scoring possessions and such. So, I mean, I think that's just the biggest thing for me is that they can start stronger. And look, the defense played extremely well in the second half, right? But you got to have this team be in sync. We've said it time and time again here. And so that's really what I'd see is from a defensive perspective, limit the big plays and start a little bit hotter here. They could have used the turnover. I mean, 5 sacks on Kyler Murray. I think Lance had the stat last week where if you get 3 or more, there's like 6 and 20, 6 and 21. Well, he just got to win number 7 courtesy of the Saints. So they gotta I liked how they finished some of the plays, but you got to start stronger on defense for sure.
Yeah, and they're going to have to start stronger on defense without someone that we expected to play a big role in that defense this season, and we're going to get up to that coming up next. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I especially love FanDuel, this kind of season because it can bring a little bit more fun to watching a team that may not be winning a ton on their own. I think listeners of this podcast can relate to that at least a little bit. This week, for my player of focus, I wanted to circle back to someone I liked in week 1. Tight end Juwan Johnson. He is my favorite Saints player to bet on right now. FanDuel doesn't have any prop lines yet for this game, but my eyes will be all over Rattler's top target whenever they do. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, injury season. I think the big one that we have to start off right now with is, Julian Blackmon out for the year and now being replaced by Jonas Sanker. You see guys like Jabril Peppers still in the market. There are a couple like Justin Simmons, but the Saints are going to go ahead and let the young guy play, and I think that was the right move, frankly. Ross, what do you think about this injury development?
Yeah, look, you never want to see anybody get injured, and especially in a situation like this when it comes to Julian Blackmon. So I'm not trying to make light of the injury that he has, but I am saying that in addition, I am saying though that getting an opportunity to get a look at Jonas Sanker is a very, very good thing for New Orleans. Just him on his own, not relative to the Julian Blackmon injury. getting a look at a young player when you're a young and rebuilding team and need to know what you have in terms of your young talent. This is a great opportunity for him, and it's a good opportunity for the organization to see what they have. They're very high on Jonas Sanker. It's hard not to be. The curious thing was always going to be, was it going to be him or was it going to be Jordan Howden? It always felt like it was going to be Sanker because he brings the versatility. You listen to everything that every coach in that building has said about the safeties. They've always talked about versatility. And so I think Sanker brings that to you. I think this is a great move by New Orleans to go with the young guy as opposed to the veteran. Would have loved to have seen Julian Blackmon out there for this season. Stinks the way that it goes down for him. But I think this is a really, really good opportunity getting a look at Jonas Sanker this early.
Yeah. I was one of the many people really impressed by Sanker's preseason and training camp. So I think it's, obviously not the reason you want to see him step into a starting role early into his career, but I think it should be a good excuse to have about there. Like it's going to be, I think, better overall. Jonas Sanker, I like this move for him specifically.
The opportunity it gives him, the opportunity it gives Brandon Staley, the opportunity it gives the front office and Jeff Ireland and all these folks that are going to have to kind of see what this draft turns into here in 2025. We knew that some of these players in this 2025 NFL or Saints draft class, rather, we're going to have to get out on the field at some point, and we're going to contribute at some point. John, you've been all over this for a long time, talking about this class and the opportunities that they're probably going to have during the season. This won't be the last rookie that we see thrust into a starting role, I imagine. But it's a good rookie to get a look at, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like the idea of Sanker back there. I mean, look, I loved what Julian Blackmon, and it hurt my heart to see Justin Reed say, I just felt like I lost my brother. Like, I know he just came in off the street, and he was just fitting so well like a glove, and he fit well in this Staley defense. But look, there's going to be some growing pains with Jonas Sanker, and that's okay because this is a team that's rebuilding, right? And so you want to see what you kind of got there. What's interesting, though, is Blackman's most likely going to go to IR, all this other stuff. They're going to need another safety because Howden's also hurt right now. He's trying to work his way back with the oblique injury, but Terrell Burgess is on the practice squad. So is Elliot Davison. So I expect Terrell Burgess to probably obviously take Blackman's spot at some point, but that's the other part of it is they're another injury away from things going really badly to saying we really need to look at a guy like a Justin Simmons or a Von Bell or Marcus Williams, whoever the case may be on the free agent market. I mean, they got to at least be looking and having that conversation. But I do like the fact that Sanker is going to get an opportunity here. And look, we knew kind of next year that this was kind of going to be the future is Reed and Sanker. And so I'm not upset at seeing this in year one right now. So, they could be a really good something. And you only get, experience by having experience out on the field. So I'm excited for him. I'm just glad he doesn't have to cover George Kittle or,
right.
Brock Purdy.
What a welcome to the NFL.
I think
that
this actually helps him. I think it actually helps him. So this game.
I agree with you guys. I mean, I like it. I love his positional versatility. I love his aggression. I love that he's active. I mean, like, a different type of player than Julian Blackmon, in my opinion, but still one that can be very, very solid for this defense. I think you guys brought up something about the potential veteran players that are still on the open market. Well, we all know that NFL rosters are fluid throughout the entirety of the season. So just because Jonas Sanker starting this week doesn't mean that Justin Simmons or even Von Bell or Marcus Williams aren't starting next week, right? So those guys can literally get a call any day and be in the building and play in that next game. So, yes, this is a great opportunity for Jonas Sanker. And I think with the team where it is, as far as one of the teams that's trying to figure out who they have, where they are, and where they think they can go, I think it'll buy him some time to be able to go through some of those growing pains. But if it shows that he's not ready, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those veteran guys gets scooped up and ends up being the starter for basically the rest of the year, because then you kind of already know what you're going to get from those guys. And that's not to say that Jonas Sanker is going to get benched and he'll never play defense again. There might be specific packages that he's able to come in and play and help that defense. He's too good of a football player. I think he's going to do well. I'm cheering for him. Julian Blackmon was a special situation or a special case as far as how we got into the building. And then, like you guys said, how smoothly it went with him once he got there from a street free agent into training camp and then becoming a starter in week 1. That's kind of rare. That's actually really rare in the modern NFL. So obviously there's a lot of ability there. And obviously I hope and wish nothing but the best for him. I've actually had 2 of the surgeries that he's getting ready to have right now. So both of my labrums were repaired. So it is an injury that he can come back from. I believe this is his second one in that shoulder, though, which I think is a little bit more problematic. This now gives him extra time, though. I do know that because they're not going to be in any hurry to try to get him back. This is a longer term injury than, the 3 or 4 months or 5, even if a team is to make it to the Super Bowl. There's no way that he'd be able to make it back. So, hate to see one go, but love to see the new one come in and get an opportunity. That to me is important. Yes, Ross.
And look, if they get,
I was waiting just to see.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, to Lance's point, and to everybody, just bring it full circle. If they put Burgess on the active roster, Blackmon to IR, they can put one of those other veterans on the practice squad and let them work their way up. I mean, that's just a thing. They may not want to, but that's how they're going to get on an NFL roster at the moment.
But John, they're going to have to bring Hunter Decker's back. You can't give away Hunter Decker's spot again.
Next topic.
You have to. You put Burgess up, and then you bring Hunter Decker's back.
What is the story behind that? Because I'm you guys are there. You got boots on the ground. Like, what would be the reason to keep a 4th quarterback? And then
Andy Tanner.
You only have 2 quarterbacks that are repping during practice. So what's going on there? I mean, and then to me, it's like you're potentially stealing an opportunity from somebody who could potentially play for you this season while carrying an extra guy that has 0% chance of playing this season. We won't see. I'm coming back to play quarterback before they put Hunter Deckers in at quarterback this season.
Right.
I'm serious.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
It might be something. I don't know. Maybe they bring him back. Like, the only thing that I could think of is maybe his mobility and maybe simulating Brock Purdy a little bit better than the quarterbacks they have. Possibly. I don't know. I'm spitballing here because in some of those aspects, they've had quarterbacks or they've had players on their practice squad that can mimic the player that they're going up against. So that could be something I feel like might make a little sense, but that's about as far as I can throw it. I know that they liked the idea of Hunter Deckers. I mean, he's a lefty. He's definitely something different than what they had. He's got some interesting mechanics to him, but at the same time, 4 quarterbacks on a roster. No, that's a better spot for something else.
Would you guys believe me if I told you that all the way back in 2005, when the Saints were playing against the Atlanta Falcons inside of the Alamo Dome, that one Jim Haslett asked me to take some snaps at quarterback in practice so that I could mimic Mike Vick.
Oh,
there you go.
There we go.
Let's go.
He said, "Hey, you're athletic. You make good decisions. Like, let's give the defense a look." And I was like, "Mike Vick? Like, are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." So I got to take some snaps way back 20 years ago as Mike Vick when they were coming into the Alamo Dome to play against the Saints. Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
Man.
Oh, wait.
So
how
it does
did it
happen.
go? Like,
Was that the year he was
did
on
you
the
kill
Madden
it?
cover? No, that was 04. He was on the Madden cover.
I wouldn't say that I killed it. No, I wouldn't. But it was fun. It was fun. Like, because there was
dope.
obviously the QB run thing was a big deal. But they also had pass plays in there too. So I got to throw the ball a little bit in practice. Like, it was fun. But I think we lost. We did lose that game. They missed the game. They missed the game-winning field goal against us. They called holding on, I believe, Will Smith or Brian Young or somebody on the defensive line. They got the re-kick. They kicked the game-winning field goal and won. So I do remember.
See, that's not your fault. That's not
I was
your
gonna
fault.
say, did he come up
You
and
had
be
it
like,
ready.
you should have run better in practice?
No, he
This
didn't.
is
Mike Vick didn't end the game.
this is
Oh.
this is a little off topic, but it's my favorite like scout team quarterback like story that I know. It's from the 2018 LSU season. I talked to a player who played for Texas whenever they played against LSU that week 2 game, and that was like the welcome party for Joe Burrow and the entire team. And he told me after the game that his coaches told them to prepare for Joe Burrow as if he was a worse version of Jake Fromm.
Oh
God.
no.
Oh,
Oh no. No wonder
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeesh.
Poor
Yeah.
coaching. That's poor coaching.
Yeah.
Poor
right.
coach.
Well,
I bet they had
that's
a
right,
bet they had a
coach
bunch
right
of
there.
free
That's why they
snap
lost.
penalties in that one.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Well,
crazy.
You think?
well, coming up next, we'll get to the 49ers game, and we each have some players to watch coming up on Sunday's game. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000. That's almost as many penalty yards the Saints had this week. Plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead keep times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Supplyhouse.com for SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. All right. We have more football to watch on Sunday, and it's the Saints against the San Francisco 49ers. Ooh, don't know why that was a bit of a tongue twister. Let's get into our players to watch for that game, and let's start with John. Who do you have your eyes on?
I mean, it's obviously Spencer Rattler. I mean, that's going to take the obvious answer off the board, right? I'd be interested to see. I thought Spencer Rattler played a pretty good game against the Cardinals. You know, I think there were some things that obviously weren't within his control, but I think he handled himself pretty well. I thought he made some really nice throws. I think that people are hung up on some of the wrong stuff and all that other thing, but you know, I think he's got to be the first one that I would point at there. The second one, I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at guys like Cesar Ruiz. You got to play better, man. You got to help support this offensive line. And at some point, it's just got to be either improve or maybe something else needs to happen. If it's a Torricelli Simpkins that comes in the mix or something else different, I don't know what that is, but you got to look at that aspect. So he's another one that I'm watching that I hope to have a rebound game. And then Devon Bailey, I want to see him get more involved. I think they might be easing him into it, but only 2 targets, 1 catch for 14 yards. So that is my quick answer, is those 3 players I think make a big difference, obviously, against the 49ers. The first 2 being making a huge difference, whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
I like it. I get short, sweet, to the point, except for picking 3 players.
When you said some players, he said some players. Did he need to say some players?
To watch.
It does say players to watch.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
Chat,
fair.
back
I
me
guess
up.
I didn't realize I was working. I didn't realize I was working with Ron Burgundy.
I don't believe you.
Ross, can you pick through the pickings that John left and find some?
Well, I didn't take all the
a player to watch.
Easily.
Yeah, one player now.
I'm gonna go to Juwan Johnson here. I thought that he had a fantastic game last week. I know everything's gonna be made about one play, which by the way was a fantastic defensive play by a pair of safeties by Arizona, but He led the game in receptions. He led the game in receiving yards. This is a guy that averaged running 24 routes per game last year, ran 44 in this game. He averaged being targeted just under 4 targets per game last year. He was targeted 11 times in this game. And now you'll notice from Sunday's game against Arizona, he lined up in the slot for 32 snaps. Well, you know who's going to be in the slot defending for the San Francisco 49ers? A rookie cornerback. And I can't wait to see how they try to take advantage of that matchup. And so it could be Juwan Johnson. We also saw a couple of other players get a lot of snaps in the slot. Both Brandon Cooks and Chris Olave were 15 or more, 17 or more snaps in the slot there. But a lot of it was Juwan Johnson there. And so I'm very curious to see the connection between he and Spencer Rattler, which started last year and then has clearly strengthened throughout training camp. We saw it all training camp long, and now in this opening game. I'm very intrigued to see, did we see a fluke of a game in terms of the, not Juwan Johnson, but in terms of the involvement of the tight end week 1? Or is that really what Juwan Johnson's game plan looks like under Kellen Moore? And if so, he's got a real opportunity here this weekend going up against San Francisco's defense.
I like that. He's definitely someone I had my own, but just because, like you said, I think while yes, he should have made the catch at the end, I don't think that wipes away him having a very good season and looking like the Saints, most dynamic or best receiving threat in the game. I don't think that, that was all, I'm not saying he's the best receiver, but I think he was the most reliable for Spencer Rattler. He looked good in the game. And I think that, building on that and not letting the mistake or the drop at the end derail what was the beginning to be a promising season for someone that we've been waiting to see a promising season for, like, fully come into picture.
Yeah. Upton Stout. Upton Stout, by the way, is that corner's name. I want to make sure I actually say his name.
Go ahead, Lance.
I was going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Like, Juwan had a great game until, as a high level athlete and competitor, if you are having a great day and then something catastrophic happens, like dropping, and you can call it what you want. The pass was broken up. He got hit, blah, 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 blah. It's a drop. He had his hands on the ball and he did not come up with the touchdown. That ruins the performance for anybody who holds themselves to a certain standard. And for me, why I was going to pick Juwan Johnson here is not based on numbers or excitement about what I think I'm going to see from him through the entirety of the season. For me, it's what is his response going to look like? How is his energy going to be? Is he going to be the same type of player that we saw through the first 3 quarters of that game, 3.5 quarters? Or is that one drop that ultimately was the difference in the game? I hate to put the one play on him, but the ball was in his hands there. If that one drop, is that going to boil over and have an impact on him moving forward? Is his confidence going to be lower? Is he going to be scared to try to make those plays in traffic again for fear of getting hit the way that he got hit? I don't know. I don't think so. But I just want to see how he responds. The reaction is upset, hurt, anger at the end of the game. Cool. That's how you should be. But what is your response going to look like? That's what I'm more curious about for him in this game, and just seeing what he looks like, making sure that one play doesn't become problematic for him moving forward, which he's played enough ball. I don't think it will. I do believe, like Dylan does, that this is going to be a big season for him. It's got to be. In order for this team to have any kind of success, he's got to be an integral part of this offense, like a super duper important part of this offense. But with that, he's got to make those plays. Like, that is the one that we're going to give him this season. And you hate that it was in a win or lose situation, like that kind of amplifies the mistake even more, because it was, man, if he catches that, I believed in the moment that Kellen Moore was going to go for 2. We're going to win this game right here. We're not even going to kick a field goal or an extra point and risk going into overtime. We're going to, why not try to go ahead right now? Our defense has played super well, especially in the second half. We can get a stop and walk out of here with a win in a game that we really probably shouldn't have won based on a lot of the things that happened in that game. So that was going to be my guy. And I don't mean to keep beating the dead horse here, but I think the reason behind Juwan being my choice is a little bit different. So I had to kind of chime in on it.
Yep.
Well,
100%.
and he talked about it after the game. So to point, he's like, I can't dwell on it, right? I got 16 games to go. I can't sit here and dwell on it because it's going to mess with him mentally, is what he kind of alluded to in the locker room. So, and again, I think that's the right call, but saying it and then doing it is obviously two different things. And so he's going to get his targets. I mean, this is something I don't know how many episodes I pointed out. It didn't matter who was going to be the starter. Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, this tight end, he is going to be the security blanket. He is going to get targets. He is going to get a lot of the looks. And so, again, he's going to have to be a guy that has to step up and to be able to be that guy for the Saints, especially when you're playing 99% of the snaps. I mean, there is nobody else. I mean, you got Stahl in there and you got Maliki Matavao for one snap. I mean, until Foster comes back and eventually maybe Taysom at some point, Juwan is the guy, and they need him to do the things that they paid him to do.
That's what I was going to say. Like they gave him the money that they gave him for that play, not the other plays.
Yeah,
not the one where he's wide open in the flat and he can catch it and get 15 yards. That anybody can do that. Literally, anybody can do that. The play that he needs to make is the one that he did not make. And like I said, we'll give him that one. It can't happen again. Like it just can't. It cannot happen again.
I think I'm gonna go. I got my lick it on John earlier, but I think I'm gonna cheat with my answer because my player to watch for Sunday is Ricky Pearsall of the San Francisco 49ers. In terms of, I think that if they want to get the offense going without George Kittle, without Brock Purdy, Mac Jones is going to need someone to rely on, and Ricky Pearsall is someone that the coaching staff trusts. He's a playmaker. They use him. They get him the ball all over the field. He's not quite a Deebo Samuel, but they will line him up all over. They'll try and get him the ball, and they'll attack matchups that they think give them the advantage with Ricky Pearsall. And I think that's something that's going to happen a lot. And I think it's something the defense is going to have to answer with and pay close attention to, because if you shut down Ricky Pearsall, that really just lets you laser focus in on Christian McCaffrey, which good luck stopping Christian McCaffrey. But
sure,
I think that it helps to give them and shut off however many valves the San Francisco 49ers have in their offense. And I think Ricky Pearsall is a big one.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of player to watch.
Well, and it puts a lot of emphasis on the other guys on the other side, like Ike Yadam. Do we see more Alante this week instead of just being a slot? And then Kool-Aid McKinstry becomes into focus too. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it for the secondary. That wasn't maybe the greatest showing from McKinstry in the first game. I mean, I think it was up and on in there, off and on. I didn't agree with the pass interference call that got called on him. I think there were a lot of calls that got called that were not called. There shouldn't have been called, or some that did happen that didn't get called. So we know officiating sucks. It is what it is. They're grown men. You have to build a bridge and move on. But that's going to be a big one to watch too, is how somebody like Kool-Aid responds. And if he travels with Pearsall, if he's going to draw him sides, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I'll throw
he's going to be big in this lineup with all of the injuries. I mean, the receiver, Juwan Jennings is out. Brandon Ayuk is still out. George Kittle is out. Obviously, Deebo Samuel was traded. Like, he's going to get opportunity. And it's, I think, as obviously probably the number one receiver, him along with Christian McCaffrey, because we know that they still like to throw him the ball a lot. Like, our defense should be kind of keyed in and licking their chops. Like, okay, we already kind of know where this ball is going to go a lot of the time. I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup.
Yeah, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I was just about to bring him up.
Let MVS beat you. Let MVS beat you.
I recorded the crossover Thursday episode with our Locked On 49ers host Brian Peacock and Lance. He said that's exactly what he said, was that like it's going to be a whole bunch of Christian McCaffrey and it's going to be a whole bunch of Ricky Pearsall anytime they drop back to throw the football. He did mention that Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones obviously have an existing connection, but the concern is does Kendrick Bourne fit in enough immediately the same week that he returned? Now he's been in the system before, so it's very possible that he does, but that would be the other guy that has a little bit. But I think you're right. I think it's those two guys, and then you can't let some other unknown wide receiver or lesser known wide receiver all of a sudden show up and start making some big plays on you, or tight end for that matter.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about our players to watch. Let's keep on talking about this game and get on with our game picks and bold predictions coming up next to wrap up today's show. You can just move through life, or you can find things that move you. It's your choice. You get to choose out there. Choose your people. You can choose to go for it, like really go for it. Just choose to do something that moves you. Mazda craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. Mazda, move and be moved. Wrapping it up for us today, let's get in with our game picks and bold predictions. And let's, I think we'll start off by saying we're all 0 for 1 except for Ross, who picked the Cardinals. So let's see if we can even it up. And
means he has to start now.
Yeah, okay. Ross,
for
sure. You can go ahead and you can start off since you won. And I know that's go with whatever you say. So.
All right, cool. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, get ready for a lot of fans to be upset with you because I'm taking the 49ers to win this game 19-16. I still think that the defense for me is going to be the biggest deciding factor for San Francisco. And their defense is really good. Their defense is very talented. They got a couple of rookies that are starting over there, but you still have Fred Warner to deal with. You still have Nick Bosa to deal with. You still have this defense to deal with. And so I'm going to go with that until the Saints either win a game and prove me wrong, or they take on the Giants in week 5, which I'm definitely calling a win for the Saints. So that's kind of where I expect them to get their first win. And so I haven't seen anything that changes my mind just yet. So I'm sticking with my 0-4 prediction to start the season, as I predicted in the preseason. Not a lot's changed my mind just yet, but I'm excited to see. I think that the Saints have a door open here with Brock Purdy potentially not playing or expected not to play, and George Kittle out there. This is the game that I could absolutely see them proving me wrong here, and I'm looking forward to Sunday.
That makes prediction? One of us. And your bold prediction.
Oh, and my bold prediction. Sorry, I thought we were going to all do predictions, game predictions, and then come back to bold predictions. That was my fault. My bold prediction. I think I'm going to say that Alvin Kamara rushes for over 100 yards in this game. It doesn't sound like a bold prediction, but Alvin Kamara doesn't have a lot of 100-yard rushing games. Sorry, Lance, did I take yours?
Yep. It's all good. I'll come up with
my
another
bad,
one.
man.
I'll come up with
I took him last week.
John, you're going next. You're going next
time. Yeah, and make sure Lance goes first next week.
No, I'm good.
no matter who gets it right. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of 100-yard rushing games in his career. That doesn't mean that he's played bad football. It's just not typically the way that he's utilized. And you have a Robert Saleh defense on the other side with a Fred Warner. You talk about a guy that's an absolute linebacker whisperer, if you will. And so having a 100-yard rushing game against Fred Warner and the San Francisco 49ers defense, that is bold in and of itself. And so that's what I'm going to go with for Alvin Kamara.
I like it. Man, Ross, you're so smart for thinking of that. Only you could give that kind of insight. John, what's your game pick and bold prediction?
Yeah, I'm with Ross. I think this is going to come down to what they do against Robert Saleh's defense, because I saw what they did against Seattle. I think there are some things that they're going to have to execute on, and they're going to have a great game plan. However, I believe with Mac Jones on the other side, no George Kittle, that is a huge advantage for Brandon Staley and that defense. And so I'm going to take the Saints. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game in the sense that I'm going to take them 17-13 in this one. I think they can pull this one out. I think it's going to be very gritty type of performance. However, will say my bold prediction is we see a complete rebound game for Rashid Shaheed. He will have over 100 yards and get into the end zone at least once in this one. But I got to go with the Saints in this one. I just feel like the deck. It's if there's ever a time for them to win and Spencer Rattler to get his first win, it is in the Dome, week 2, with everything that's been given to you. Got to have a great game plan, though.
I like it. I just, man, is anyone going to pick the Saints? In your bold prediction.
He did pick the Saints. John picked the Saints.
Oh
no, he said did the bold prediction to pick your Saints.
I thought you
I
picked
got
the 49ers. I don't know what I'm thinking. My brain.
No, he picked the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you on Rouge yet right now or something? No. All right, we lost Dylan. Technical difficulties.
Now go with your bold prediction, John.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I said Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, that was the
over 100 yards. And
right.
Yeah, Ross, are you on Rouge yet right now?
I am.
There we go. Is there a gas leak in the stream or something like that?
Yeah,
I think so.
What's going on here?
Oh my
God.
God.
I'm with the gas leak in the stream.
I'm with you.
My bad. Lance, take us away.
Hey. Before the injuries to the 49ers, I was on my way to being on Team Ross, but it was going to be uglier than what Ross said. I was thinking
100%.
like either 31-14, 31-17, definitely a multiple score game. Mm-hmm. But the opportunity now, we're saying Mac Jones is a capable starter. He's been a starter, right? But I'm not going to act like Mac Jones is Drew Brees out here. So, and then take away his probably his best target and a couple of his other important targets. Yep. I mean, I would love for Mac Jones to revert back to throwing pick sixes like he did the last time we played out there in New England when Tyron had the pick six in that game. So, like, I'm going to go another low-scoring game, but I'm going to go Saints 17-16 in a nail-biter.
Of course it will be.
And I'm not sure. I'm not going to go out on a limb and make my bold prediction. Blake Groupie kicking a walk-off field goal in this game. My bold prediction, though, is that Spencer Rattler will throw 2 touchdown passes in this game. So his first 2 touchdown passes of this year. And those will be the only touchdowns that the Saints score this weekend. But in a win, I'm okay with that. 17-16 Saints, Spencer Rattler, 2 touchdown passes.
All right. I like it. I'm going to go with Saints 19-16. 49ers 19-16 final score. And I think I'm going to have Alvin Kamara rush for 100 yards. So I think that's right.
He did say he was just going to do what I did.
Yeah, that's right. No. I think I'm gonna go with the 49ers to win the game. I'm gonna go 20-17, but I think it's gonna be a bit of a frustrating one because I think my bold prediction is that the Saints secondary comes away with 2 interceptions on Mac Jones because it's Mac Jones, and I think that this defense is gonna be able to step. Defense is gonna be able to step up. But I am not really sure the offense has shown enough for me to believe that they're going to be able to answer the call on that side of the ball against what, injure as many players as you want on the offense side of the ball. You still got to go against Fred Warner and Nick Bosa on the other side of the ball. So I think that it's going to be I haven't seen enough for this offense to be like, I think that they're going to take advantage of all of the opportunities the defense gives them. Mainly because they already have it against a worse defense. So I think that, like you, Ross, they haven't done enough to show me why I should still be backing them right now, even with injuries that are advantageous again on the other side of the field.
Yeah, makes sense. There's one other thing that we should factor into this too. I don't think it's going to change anybody's predictions, but one other thing to keep in mind is that San Francisco has had a lot of field goal issues with Jake Moody, and then they went and grabbed Eddie Pinheiro off the street here, and so that's another thing that could factor into this game, to where the difference could be a missed field goal or something like that late or even early that turns into whatever 3-point deficit works, stuff like that. So that's something else that I'd watch out for in this one is what's the operation like on both sides when it comes to the kicker and everything. That could have a big impact in this game, especially with all of us picking this game so close. Like if it ends up being like that, yeah.
I mean, Brazil did block one last week, so
Right.
I mean that took some points off the board. So crazier things have happened in the Superdome. Well, we'll see.
Nothing worse than to take the wind out of your sails than having a decent drive on offense, being in scoring position, and then the kicker missing a field goal. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
It is. I mean, it literally takes the wind out of you. You're like, oh man, like we got nothing out of that. And you know, the easier chip shots usually don't get missed, but the ones they're all important. I don't want to make certain ones, you know, sound more important than the others, but you know, obviously a game-winning kick, they either make it or they don't. But the ones in the inner game situations where maybe both teams are struggling to score and you're just trying to get some points on the board and the kicker misses, or that you're trying to catch up. We're down 2 scores. We need this field goal to put it within 1 score, and the kicker misses, or you're winning. If we make this kick, we put this game away, and the kicker misses. I mean, it is like it's devastating, and it doesn't change the way that it doesn't change that you play the way that you play personally. Like I never went out there like with my head drooping, like after the next possession, after a kicker missed a field goal. But in that moment, it's like, oh man, like you got one job, bro. Like, do your job. Do your job.
Yeah.
You know, they never asked you to kick field goals, did they, Lance?
No, sir. No, sir. But they did ask me to hold them, and I said, "Do I have to?"
Why would they risk your hands like that, man?
You're the emergency holder. I said, "Oh man, like that's what I get, I guess, for being, you know, versatile and open to doing whatever you guys asked me to do out here." Emergency third string quarterback. I did do that. I was taking snaps before games and stuff, but yeah, kickers, man.
What quarterback on the Saints schedule this year do you think that you could match? You can play scout team quarterback.
Emulate the best.
You can emulate the best.
Do we play Baltimore this year?
We play Buffalo though. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah,
Josh Allen's.
I was gonna say right here,
quarterback he'll probably play this year.
Right here in the division, I think that Bryce Young's the only quarterback shorter than you.
God.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Not a dig on you. Not a. It was meant to be a dig on Bryce Young.
Was it meant to be a dig on Bryce Young?
I'm good with it. And I'm a good sport.
All right.
Oh man.
Oh man. Have we talked about not Will Lutz?
Will Johnson?
Yeah. Blake Groupie at all today? Because I feel like that's something that we need to touch on. We talked about 49ers field goals.
Have y'all heard the reason that he gave us for the missed kick? Have y'all heard this yet?
No, I haven't.
So, okay. So he said the first thing that I'll mention is that he said it was entirely on him. He said the operation was perfect, that it was entirely on him. And that what happened was the play right before that. The play right before that was that like 3rd and 5, like fade to Rashid Shaheed that they felt should have been a pass interference penalty in the end zone.
Should have.
I agree. It should have been. And so what he basically said was that they were effectively contesting that call. And so by the time that he got lined up to kick his field goal, he only had 9 seconds left on the clock. And so he effectively had a decision to make to either not let that bother him and kind of walk through it and just kind of, not let it rush him, or just take the false start, move back, 38-yard kick turns into a 43-yard kick, 37-yard kick turns into a 42-yard kick. And then all of a sudden, like you're in the same percentages there in terms of field goal percentage. And instead he kind of went back and forth on what should I do? And so that ended up rushing him. And then so he rushed his way through the kick, and then that's why he ended up missing it. And I can't imagine thinking about anything else when kicking a field goal, but kicking that field goal. And so being in a situation to where you're torn between like how to go about the operation and whatever, and then trying to kick the field goal, like, yeah, it's a big thing. But my argument is if that's the case, take the false start and then do it. Or we were talking about
maybe use a timeout.
Yeah, timeout. Or the holder could pump and ask for them to reset re-rack the clock, right? You see the holders do that sometimes, everything like that. But yeah, he said it big time learning moment for him, something that he's never experienced before, but that he kind of learned from in this situation.
I mean, they had the dome full too.
I think he could have just left it at it's on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have, but it was just good to get some insight on it. It was good to get some insight on it.
Yeah, he didn't have to.
You got one job, you know what I mean?
You guys are well within your right, or we're well within our right to ask the question. That doesn't mean that the player has to give you the answer that you're looking for. You know,
right?
Hey, that's on me. I got to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then a lot of things, seriously, like a lot of things that happen in games are things that coaches in general would like to keep in house as well. And I'm not saying this is that situation, but if I'm Kellen Moore, I'm going to go over to my kicker after reading or hearing about that answer and say, hey, take accountability, keep it moving. We don't need to explain why we made the mistake that we made. If anybody's doing enough research, then maybe they can find it and look at it and say, hey, it looks like he was rushed. But it's not on us to go looking for or handing out excuses for why we made the mistakes that we made. That's just my personal opinion on it. And maybe I feel that way because kickers generally have one job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, case in point, Eric McCoy said as much. He just said, it was on me. I apologize to my teammates. I'm going to be better. Perfect. Yep. You don't have to explain anything else.
Yep.
Well, because he could have said, I'm the backup on that play. I don't get any reps during the season, during the practices. I just was rushed in there to replace somebody who was out of the game, but he didn't. That's on me. My bad. Won't happen again.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's how the first second after we end every show is me coming in and be like, all right, guys, that was on me. That's my bad. That's how it always ends. We're about to get ready to do that because thank you for listening to the Saints Squad Show. You can check out me, Ross, Lance, and John on our socials for the latest. It's been a fun episode. We'll be right back here again next Wednesday. This is our new midweek time, new midweek date. We did it Thursday last week, and that didn't work out too well. So now we're back to Wednesday, even though the Saints aren't playing on Thursday at all this week. But that's for another time. Immediately, we'll see you on Sunday right after the Saints end up winning or losing against the San Francisco 49ers. But until then, check in on Locked On Saints for the latest on everything. There you go.